Well, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we have returned with some more Jedi Knight. Why, you may ask? Well, the last time I streamed, I did a remastering of one level of Jedi Knight. Now, a remake of one level of Jedi Knight. Let's make it confusing. So the difference between a remake and a remaster is you take the old graphics and make them look better, and a remake is you completely do it again. Well, after playing that one level, I kind of got the itch to play more Jedi Knight, so I did a little bit of research to see if there was like some graphical update packages for, graphical update packages. Wow, my brain seems to be tired today. Graphical update packs for this game, and there is! I got really lucky, actually. A bit of, shall we say, coincidental providence there, in that a complete remastering of the game had been released like a week earlier. And so today we're looking at the Jedi Knight Remaster version 3, which changes out all the 3D models, makes it 16 by 9. It also has updated textures, where it's basically the original textures upscaled via neural AI processing. Skynet controls the world. And so, we're going to play through the entirety of Jedi Knight. Not in one night, though, but we are going to go through all of Nar Shaddaa. So, before we get into the game proper, let's actually take a look at the first cutscene, because I did not show that in the last stream. So, first and foremost, though, Jedi Knight came out in 1997. Pretty much, this is one of the most like legendary of the Star Wars games. Yeah, you've got KOTOR, Republic Commando, and all the rest, but Jedi Knight was something that really stood out, not only in the time it was released, but it still kind of stands out today because you have live action cutscenes that, while this was a game from 1997, it looks better than pretty much any of the new movies and the new TV shows. There might be some bias on my part, but it looks really good, and the writing, at the very least, is far better than anything Disney has come up with. So, with that, let's take a look at the first cutscene, Jedi's Destiny. Now, before we get into that, one thing that's kind of weird about this game, and it's like this because older games would do this, the opening cutscene literally starts playing when you start up the game, so it's very easy to miss, which is kind of annoying. So with that, let's get into it. That was always a seal of quality. That too is a seal of quality. And no, I'm not going to be able to monetize this at all, but whatever, it's worth it. Now, what's actually pretty cool here is, I think this is one of the few games that will actually mention the New Republic, because a lot of the games that were released after the prequels were set during the prequel era. And so I'm glad to actually see New Republic. At this time, Sith did exist, but Dark Jedi was something that was routinely used. And the Valley of the Jedi, one of the great aspects of the real Star Wars was continuity. Continuity that Star Trek couldn't even dream of. And so the Valley of the Jedi will be important many years later in the Darth Bane Path of Destruction novel.
I hesitate. Strike me down.
In time, Ron. First, I need something from you. Morgan Catan. This dead man holds the valley's location. Very intriguing. I have no further use for you, old man.
So yeah, 1997. One of the most epic openers to any game ever. And like, that's still impressive today. Yeah, one of those CGI aliens looks pretty crap. But like, that was fucking awesome. It's like, if Disney had done that, it would have printed money. I'll check the chat before we actually get to the game. And hello, everyone. Alright, but if we'd gotten that as a movie, like an actual movie, like, that would have printed money. Alright, let's get to the game. More cutscenes.
I want you to remember, son, when you're at the academy, how very proud I am of you. What a fine young man you've become. I wish your mother were here to see it. But I know she watches over you and is proud. After she died, your welfare and upbringing were the only thing I truly cared about.
Touching. When someone desires information, they come to me.
Don't waste my time, 88. Tell me who killed my father.
Patience. He is a dark Jedi.
Jedi?
Dark Jedi. He is known as Jerick, and he has great plans for the rebirth of the Empire.
I'm not interested in petty political struggles.
Well, you should be. Without going into too much detail, Jerick has been quite generous in his offerings. Unfortunately, you don't factor into them. But I am not without a heart. Familiar, yes? I found it in your dead father's home. I can decipher any language or code known, but this one eludes me. It must be important. Tell me what it is, and these gentlemen won't have to indulge their darker side.
The dark side? I've been there. Do your worst.
Well, I suppose that concludes our business.
I'm not interested in leaving. I have some business to conclude with your friend, 88.
All right, so that sets up the story. So here's the thing about what this succeeds in and what the modern day Star Wars stuff doesn't. Also, look at how good this game looks. Oh my god. Just a little bit of graphical updating and you get something that looks like this. I gotta say, I did not expect to really get back into this game quite as much as I did. I mean, I expected to play it a little bit, then maybe lose interest, but with just a little bit of graphical enhancements, it's like, it's a real video game. Now, I'm playing this on a controller, using the Steam controller overlay. It works pretty well, actually. You do have to turn down the mouse sensitivity just a little bit. Otherwise, you're just flying all over the place. And this game has some weird control things you kind of got to go in and fix. Because this is an old game. This is 1997 here. And so there was like mouse look and mouse movement. I don't know how anybody thought that was a good idea back then. And I'm from back then. I hated it back then just as much as I hate it today. Really, getting the WASD keys and mouse look to be standard, that was like one of the best things in PC gaming. I almost shot that guy. He deserved it. He looked shifty. So, what this does so much better than modern-day Star Wars is it gives you new characters that are visually and personality and with this visually different from the original trilogy characters, and they have distinct personalities. You've got a plot that is distinct from the original trilogy. That's legitimately interesting, like the Valley of the Jedi. No one had ever heard of that before. You have Kyle Katarn, which if you just came into this game late, you might not know who he is, and you can establish his character in just a few minutes. Like, him watching that hologram of his father talking, like, that establishes he is a good guy. Or if he's not a good guy, then at least he's sympathetic, let's say. Like, in just a few minutes, we know everything we need to know. It does more for character than pretty much 2 seasons of Mandalorian did. And I happen to like Mandalorian, but Mandalorian's got a lot of flaws. I will take the shield generator. Actually, let's save just in case I hurl myself into the abyss. Alright, so... there we go. So, it's like, that is really what Star Wars had needed to do in terms of, like, getting to the normies. Because people who don't play video games or really care that much, they would eat this up if they knew it existed. That's one of the things about books that always make me kind of sad, is that people really don't read that much, and people are really missing out on that. It's like, there's more books than Harry Potter. And Harry Potter's not even very good. I was a kid when that goddamn book came out, and I thought it was crap. As for the films, I've never seen them, but I'm sure they're a jerk too, or something like that. But, like, character is very important. Universe is extremely important. Like, once Star Wars falls out of the popular consciousness, which it may well do under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership, you know, like, there's nothing to replace it except maybe 40K, and even then, 40K is not quite as cool as that. 40K is a bit too baroque, whereas Star Wars was always so it was so relatable, so positive to a certain extent. Because, like, there's no 40K equivalent to the X-Wing or the B-Wing or anything like that. Like, I could have grabbed those shields, but I didn't want to. I don't need them. With just a fresh coat of paint, look at that. That looks fucking awesome. Why can't we get games like that? I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, because... gaming. I once thought I actually didn't even care about it anymore, but once you actually get something good, once you get something worth playing, it reminds me why I like it. Speaking of things worth playing, I recently picked up the remastering of System Shock. That was a game that very definitely needed a remastering. More so than this game, even. This is just a first-person shooter, so it's fairly understandable and pretty playable, whereas System Shock 1, you know, a lot of those controls really made playing that a chore. It was a very obtuse kind of game. It kind of needed to be dumbed down just a little bit for, well, people who are not, like, super PC gamers, and for people who actually like to have quality of life improvements. That's one of the hallmarks of a game that has aged well. Like, this game here just needed better graphics and the ability to play in 16:9. Like, in terms of controls, it's pretty damn good. And I can't really imagine what you could do to make this game any better than it already is, other than just making it look better. Now, when it comes to Kyle Katarn, he's, for whatever reason, not quite as popular as Dash Rendar. I don't really understand that, because Dash Rendar, he appeared in one game, and he was a cameo in a couple of books, and in a couple of comics. He finally got his own book in Shadow Games, and he was alright in it, but Kyle Katarn has always been one of my favorite expanded universe characters. Just because he does have a pretty cool character arc. Like, he starts out as, what if Han Solo never met Princess Leia? You know, he stays a mercenary, even though he ends up doing a lot of heroic things, like stopping Jarek. Now, that's not Darth Jarek. Jarek is not a member of the Sith. So, there's a difference between a Dark Jedi and a Sith. To be a Sith, you have to actually be, well, a member of the Sith Order. So it's either can be something in the prequels, or you found like a Sith tome or something. Taking the name Darth basically means you are a member of that order. And Jarek isn't. There's a good chance Jarek doesn't even know what the Sith even are. Because Palps was a follower of the Rule of Two, which didn't really make that much sense, but whatever. It's fiction, you just kind of got to go with it. And so, it's not like Palps really wanted to do any sort of power sharing. Now, Disney did start using the Inquisitors, but the Inquisitors have been around for a long time. Ever since the 1990s, Dark Side Inquisitors have been around. They never factored that much in many of the expanded universe stories, but they were there, and that's what Jarek is. He's basically the High Inquisitor of Palpatine's court. That's how he has his own giant Super Star Destroyer. And so he's not a Sith. He's just a Darksider. Now, the whole Dark Jedi thing, that is a product of this time. After a while, Dark Jedi would be dropped for either Sith or just Darksider. Because it's not like they're Dark Jedi, but it's not like they're gonna follow the Jedi Code or anything, which also got retconned over different time periods. Now, one of the different types of Jedi that popped up now and again was the Gray Jedi, where they were able to balance light and dark. And the whole light-dark side thing, once again, you gotta love old Kyle. He's like, there is no light side and dark side, it's just how you use your powers, which really it is. I mean, like, you have Mace Windu cutting a guy's head off. How is that less evil than Darth Vader choking somebody out? I'm just saying here. It's like, it always seemed kind of stupid to me. But like a Gray Jedi, balancing the light and the dark, it's like, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean like he rescues somebody and then robs them afterwards? Or, you know, he like saves somebody from being killed and then calls them an asshole? It's like, it just seems kind of interesting there. It's one of those things where having enemies drop down from those fans, like that was the single greatest thing any of us had ever seen. Yeah, you better run AT-88.
Leaving so soon?
Now, why that's a TIE bomber, I have no idea. I guess it might be better at ground attack than just a basic TIE fighter.
Oh, whenever I need to find you, you're always in some kind of trouble.
Jan, what a pleasant surprise!
What would you do without me, Kyle?
I'd be a content old man.
Somehow I don't see content or an old man. So much for the relaxing chat.
Jan, meet me at the top. I've got to get that disc.
Now, I want to remind everybody, this is a PC game from 1997, and that looked really good. I mean, a Star Wars TV show in the 90s, I think, would have been one of the greatest things ever. And that still looks pretty good with the updated graphics, but once again, all that crap that was put out by Disney about how there were no females. I hope I don't overwrite one there, because that's my personal playthrough there. There were no females in gaming. It's like, really? We've got a female Sith and Jan Ors. It's like, we're perfectly fine with females in gaming, and otherwise, I mean, well, they've been there the entire time. It's just properly written females in games. Now, I will admit, Jan Ors was kind of wasted in the Dark Forces games, because she will eventually get captured. I think she gets captured. Yeah, she does definitely get captured in Jedi Knight 2. She might have even gotten captured in Jedi Knight 1. It's like, that's the only real problem with that. I absolutely hate thermal detonators. Because they don't, this is back when grenades really didn't work that well. So, Nar Shaddaa here. Nar Shaddaa had already existed in the novels for a while. I don't remember where Nar Shaddaa showed up in, though. I think it might have been Dark Empire 1 is when the planet first showed up, and then the other writers picked it up. Speaking of the EU, in terms of prose, there's a fan novel that was released a number of years ago. You can find it on fanfic.net. Find a name for that, for those of you who are listening. Star Wars Hour of Judgment by Hand of Thrawn 45. Holy shit, ladies and gentlemen, is that a good book. It's set shortly before the events of the Thrawn trilogy. It's like an unofficial X-Wing novel. I'll check the chat real here. What system was this for? This was a PC game. For the channel of Sauronut. Oh yeah, I did see that, Agnostic Librarian. It's like, yeah, that is a concern. It's one that I have, but thank God I live in a fairly safe state. And Silver Wings, I highly recommend this game. Like, it is quite good. I knew that Dark Forces 1 showed up on PS1, but I don't know if it's actually any good or not. You know, I never really liked Lord of the Rings, either. I'll get on that in a minute. You know, I have the original 007 novels, just haven't gotten around to them yet. And 40K does have aircraft, and they're pretty ugly. Let's see. And yet, but it was just one really good game, whereas Kyle Katarn showed up in a lot of really good games. I can guarantee you they used a green screen. I do have 40K bolt gun, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. And no, Jennifer Lawrence isn't the first female action hero. Alright, so let's get back to it. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, you know, that was a franchise I never got into. So, like, apparently, a new Lord of the Rings game just dropped, and that was Gollum. Now, I've seen the first two Lord of the Rings movies. I tried to watch Return of the King. I found it so boring, I could not stand it. And I apologize to all you Lord of the Rings fans out there, but I could not sit through Return of the King. I tried. Either she got shot or she got shot in a much more pleasurable way with a gun that's, as shall we say, an unrifled barrel. But anyway, unrifled barrels aside. Yeah, I couldn't sit through Return of the King. It was just way too boring. But Gollum, I think, was the most annoying character in all of those movies. Like, the absolute most annoying. Like, I get that Andy Serkis did a great job and all, but it's, like, still hard to watch. Oh my god, it's a Gamorrean pig warrior. It's like, hey, you know, Gamorreans, you might want to actually, use a gun. See, then you could actually shoot back. Because, like, you know, this is like the Battle of the Frontiers. Rosalie's not gonna help. Just saying. But I found Gollum to be really, really annoying, and he was in the movie the entire time. I understand that Lord of the Rings is meant to be a film series and a novel about the hobbits. I get that. I respect that. It's just I didn't like the hobbits. And so if you don't like the hobbits, then it kind of fails. It's like if you don't like Luke, you're not going to really like the original trilogy. You're going to want to read the books. But, like, Gollum just... the way he talked, the fact that it's like, just... to play a whole game based on him sounds absolutely horrible, and apparently it was terrible. I did try to play that one Lord of the Rings game, like Retribution or something, where you played as the guy that's like half ghost. That was definitely a game that I thought I might like, but found it boring too. It's just that universe doesn't interest me. It lacks, like, a good punch. Like the Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer Fantasy predates 40K, and 40K was originally meant to be sort of like the sci-fi companion to that universe, and then 40K blew up bigger than that universe ever got. I remember I went to a games workshop about 10 years ago because I thought about getting into one of the tabletop games, and they just straight up said, it's like, yeah, well, nobody really plays Warhammer anymore, so you might want to get 40K. It's like, but I don't want to play 40K. Ultimately, I never ended up playing either one, but the Warhammer Fantasy series just had a little better characters. Wasn't quite as grim derp as 40K was at that time. 40K's starting to get a little less grim derp, especially with the Return of the Lion, but my biggest problem with 40K is just nothing ever really happened in that universe. That's the thing about Star Wars, shit happened all the time. It had consequences and everything, but with 40K, it was so stagnant for so long. It's like the Imperium would either win or lose a battle, but ultimately it wouldn't matter. Which I guess is the idea. It's like, life is pain and nothing but pain, man. It doesn't make for that enjoyable of a series to read if nothing ever happens. And then we got Rabute Gilman back, and well, there we go. Let's see, I make this look easy, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on half the time. Now, this is a very good hook for the player. We're in a place we've never seen before, fighting enemies we hadn't really seen before. This is some pretty well-designed levels. Now, what you'll notice, though, is this is pretty old. Like, the level design in and of itself is pretty old. We don't really have stairs, we have ramps. We have ramps all throughout this game. The levels are they kind of are a bit long. They kind of lack some of the more advanced ornamentation we'd be used to today, or even just a couple years later. I think games really kind of hit their plateau in like 2001 with the release of Halo, where things started to look really good. See, I think I might have gotten turned around here because we're trying to circle around. Because right now we're trying to circle around to get back to where we were so we can drop down and jump on a box that'll take us, I think we're going the right way now. That will take us up. But despite the somewhat simplistic nature of this level, it still is impressive in other ways. Go ahead and save again. As we'll see, like, this is a big open level, though. Like, there's a lot of crap going on, like this. It's not just a linear series of corridors, which is pretty much what we would get in Jedi Knight 2. Jedi Knight 2 simplified things a lot compared to this. And I think this is back when they could really experiment. Since this was a PC-only game, this was able to do things that Jedi Knight 2 couldn't dream of, because Jedi Knight 2 had also worked on consoles. Weirdly enough, Jedi Knight 2 would get a console port on the GameCube. I do not know how well it turned out, though. This was never ported to anything, because I don't think there was any machine that could have actually run this at the time. Check the chat here. Lord of the Rings and Dune having comments talking about things that are with action. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Shadow of Mordor was that game. This thing happened at 40K. And yeah, when you've got Gilliman showing back up, and the Lion, I like the Lion more. The Lion is just a bit more of an interesting character. But when you have him come back, you'd think this door wouldn't open, but it does. When you have Gilliman come back, now you've got a hero unit for the Imperium. Now they can actually start to do things. You know, having the Cicatrix Maledictum open up, that was great. Now stuff's happening. Now there's a chance that the plotline might move. Now the big problem is, will 40K ever have a happy ending, though? That's the thing. Because, like, when you get invested in a franchise like 40K, you kind of want the good guys to win and chaos to be defeated. if you can't have that, I'd almost accept like some sort of time loop or something. Because like whatever happens in the warp happens at all times in all places. So like it's get out of the way, droid. Nobody likes you. Okay, that should bring that over there. No, that opens that door. This brings this over here. But like have some sort of weird time loop where the universe... You know, that's how they could reboot the series, I realize. And I'm not sure if I'd have a problem with that or not. You can reboot Warhammer 40k by having there be this weird time loop where like it's the end times for 40k. Chaos is spilled out into real space. Everybody's dead, everybody's dying, and either Gilliman or the Lion basically smashes something, does a ritual, whatever, or like sacrifices the Emperor, and basically it resets everything to 30k, and they basically have a do-over, like a Groundhog Day sort of thing. You could even keep it grimdark to where it's a cycle that goes on every 10,000 years, and everybody's trapped in it. There's your grimdark, and there's your happy ending all in one. Seriously, GW, just hire me already. But still, though, that's kind of the problem with 40k, is that's still not a particularly satisfying ending, if you're someone like me. That's why Star Wars at one time did provide that good opportunity of a universe that was kind of dark, but not too dark. And Star Trek wasn't much of anything. See, here's the problem with Star Trek. I would actually go as far to say that Star Wars is actually better in many respects than Star Trek. And that's simply because with Star Trek, it's so inconsistent. What shows up in one episode of a TV show is not going to show up again in the next episode. It'll be changed. It'll be retconned in some way. And so Star Trek was never consistent as Star Wars. What happens in this game is referenced all throughout the Star Wars Expanded Universe. So it definitively happens. Whereas, you know, even within the show, certain characters will disappear, or their character traits will change. Like, even something important. Like, a good example, and it might be considered a bit of a nitpicky sort of thing, but it's still an element of that character's character. The character of Chakotay from Voyager, well, he starts out as a vegetarian, and then they forget about that, like, 5 episodes later when he's eating a steak. It's like, that's kind of important to remember. I'm just saying. Or like, the ships will either go really fast or really slow. Like, in an episode of TNG, for the Enterprise D to get from the Delta Quadrant to the Alpha Quadrant, it would take like a couple of years. Whereas with Voyager, it turned into 70. And that's not even getting into... Did I shoot that civilian? No, just shot a droid. But it's not even getting into just a lot of the technological stuff that doesn't really work. Like the phasers. In TNG, they're super powerful. It can blow up a building. In Deep Space Nine, they act like basically just regular guns. With Star Wars, at least things were kept consistent. And factions and things of that nature were pretty well fleshed out. Oh, you bastard. I fucking hate those grenadiers. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to save, and then we gotta drop down, I think. I could be wrong. Actually, no, we don't have to drop down. But we are anyway! They changed this. They changed the falling scream, thankfully. So it's not quite as annoying. So, around this time, like, the Mandalorians weren't a thing yet. I mean, they existed, but they weren't nearly as popular as they would be later on. So, Kyle Katarn here is a Corellian, and not a Mandalorian, and he doesn't even have any fancy armor. He's literally just wearing a shirt and one shoulder pad. That's what he looks like. And that's a pretty cool design for his character. Although I prefer uniform, I prefer armor to just a shirt and pants. A shirt and pants does not armor create. But then I guess he doesn't really need armor since he has a shield generator, but whatever. Okay, and I'm not exactly sure where we are. I think either we jump down there. Yeah, we jump down here. I think there's some goodies down here. No, there's not. There's just health and more grenades that I don't need. But look at how advanced this level really is in comparison to something that would come out just a couple years later. Like, there is a lot of moving parts here. I can't imagine how difficult this had to be to program with, goddammit, 90s technology. And that was one of the things when consoles started to get powerful enough to play games kind of like this. Things had to really be dumbed down a bit. Whoa. And that's why, like, by about 2010, I was like, games are lame. How little I knew then. Games are lame now because everything's all about live service bullshit. I don't think any modern game... I can't think of a modern game, really, that wasn't either an indie or a one-off that really was able to capture my imagination. Okay, there's gonna be a bastard that's right here. Yeah, I think either he had fists or a thermal detonator. Either way, it's pretty annoying. I'd hate to be the random thug that had fists. Like, they couldn't afford, like, a gun, just a slug thrower. That is not a good place to be. These guys will end up being killed by elevators because their AI, well, not bad, isn't that great either. Let's see, did I have to hit a switch to bring that down? No, I didn't. Okay. Sometimes you have to hit a switch, and sometimes you don't. But, like, if you compare this to, say, something like Quake 2, Quake 2 might be a little bit tighter than this game, but this game is a lot more impressive in many other ways. And we haven't even gotten to the force powers and lightsabers yet. Now, we were actually pretty close to beating this level. Now, when we finally get to the stormtroopers, those guys actually are dangerous. That's one of the aspects of The Mandalorian that I really didn't like. The Stormies... No! God damn it! Happens every time. They'll take that. Okay, come on. Come down, elevator. You can do it. So close to the end. I'm glad I saved. The Stormies in this game are fucking rough. They can take like 2 or 3 hits before going down, and they actually can hit. The whole idea of the Stormies being kind of weak is something that comes much, much later. Around this time, Stormtroopers, at least in the tabletop game, were fucking rough. As they should be! That's my biggest complaint about Mando Season 2. They just slaughter them way too easy, and so you end up kind of like feeling sorry for them. Okay, let's go ahead and use that Bacta. Just picture Kyle just like screwing off the top and just drinking like a whole gallon of fucking Bacta. He grows back an arm. Okay, let's actually try not to doom it up too much here. Because I'm really hurt. He hurt my feelings with his thermal detonators. I think he killed himself. He's a Canadian. Never mind. Go away, phone. Actually, just turn it off. There we go. You could not interrupt the greatness of Star Wars.
Time to get you patched up.
Your path is at a moment of change. Jarek, the man who murdered your father, is a great evil. He searches for the location of a sacred place, the Valley of the Jedi. A force of thousands of Jedi is trapped here. If Jarek captures this power, he will be a creature such as the universe has never seen. A supernova of stars in a fleeting thought. The eradication of life from a star system in a whisper will be within his power. Your father gave his life to protect this power, and now it is a place your destiny must take you. The disc you have in your possession will lead you to the ways of the Jedi. Remember, it will be your path to the ways of the Force.
Well, your blessed ship is going to be in the repair bay for the next few days.
How's it look?
Nothing that a crate full of money which you don't have wouldn't solve.
Like always, I owe you. Can you take care of her for me?
You're not going after Jarek, are you?
No. I'm going back to my father's home in Sulan. Can you meet me there when you're finished with the crow?
Of course. Is everything okay?
I don't know. I'll find out when I get there.
That was the last of them.
Now what do we do?
8088 will decipher them at Baron's head.
Buck!
I like how that is subtitled to GAC. So, consider, if you will, this is 1997. We're using very basic CG here, and yet that doesn't look like shit. I mean, it looks pretty damn good. So, we've got a little bit of weirdness here. We're fighting Tuskens on another planet. This is Sulan. I guess at the time, the idea is that the Tuskens were not native to Tatooine. In the novel, it's listed that they are mercenaries from Tatooine. There's some passages in the novel of this game from their perspectives. Evidently, Kyle ends up killing one of, like, some guy's best friend in a swoop bike chase, which does not actually happen in this game, unfortunately. Also, what happens in this game, that doesn't happen in this game, rather, that happens in the book, is Kyle's able to sneak into, well, that guy, dude, you know, if you keep looking at that wood, I'm just going to shoot you in the back of the head. It happened. I'm a prophet. Stephen Barnes. But, that's one of those things where... Oh yeah, wait, I forgot. Okay. In order to sneak into Baron's head, which we're going to do later, but it's going to be a lot less cool, Kyle basically just hitches a ride on the foot of an ATST. Because he's a badass. Didn't see Dash Rendar doing that. And oh my god, Kyle has a flashlight! I would hate to live in... This is Kyle's, you know, childhood home. I would hate to live here because it is the most confusing house ever. Okay, we check the chat here. Warhammer Age of the Emperor, that might be pretty good. I'm glad the Jedi Knight 2 port isn't bad on the GameCube. Mithril shirt and pants, yeah, that could work. Story of Raylanor, the Ancient, yeah. Acting and character as Worf, that'd be pretty neat, actually. Magnificent 7 Blu-ray set. Not bad. Let's see. comparing this to the X-Files game is a bit rough, though. I think the X-Files game was actually kind of crap. This is the only time FMVs were ever good. It's like FMV games were crap, and I knew FMV games were crap back when I was a kid. I played an FMV game once. It was a point and click called Critical Path. And my god, was that game shit. I mean, I can think of no worse game than that. Like, you can die within like the first second if you don't like press the controls right or some shit. And I would never want to try to get that working today, because I just remember it being absolutely horrible. And you had to, like, watch the intro over and over again. This is, I think, the only game that ever did FMVs right. Because it's a first-person shooter that's literally one of the best. And you get one of the best games. God damn it. I am so hurt. Okay, where's that bastard? I'm gonna blame the chat, because I normally don't get that hurt. My feelings are hurt. The Tuscans were mean. They misjudged. Never mind. But Boba Fett does not appear in this game, but he will appear in, I like how it's just random Bacta. It's like, it's an interesting seasoning, I guess. But Boba Fett does appear in Dark Forces 1. That is an example of, a great cameo, because I didn't have the light on. Okay. We're not gonna leave the light on for you. You just go fucketh thyself. But that's an example of a good cameo, because you can't kill Boba Fett because he's too awesome. You just drive him off in the first game. Boba Fett will show up again.
Looks like
in...
someone doesn't like to have company.
This is a giant house, Kyle. I think you were rich. I'm just saying. Why does that door need a red key? Like, what if you lost it? You'd be locked out forever. I gotta try to remember where that red key is. Like, imagine like that was the bathroom, and you don't remember where you put the fucking red key. All I can say is that atrium probably doesn't smell very good at this point. But in Jedi Academy, Boba Fett will show up again, and it's a pretty cool boss battle. But you still can't kill him. You just drive him off. I have been spoiled for another Boba Fett cameo, and that was in Jedi Survivor. He does show up in that. Oh, yeah, spoiler alert. I mean, to me, that wouldn't be a spoiler. It's like, if I learned that Boba Fett's gonna be in Jedi Survivor, sold. Okay, I think it's gotta be somewhere in here. Okay, so we're over here. That's not locked. I told you, it's a very confusing house to live in. I do not envy Kyle at all. Okay, so that just leads us right back to there. So the key has to be somewhere over here. It has to be somewhere back here. Okay, this leads back to here. It's one of those things that's very easy to miss. There's a number of places in this level just like that. This was not a game I finished that much as a kid, because I did not have the patience, but these days I'm able to figure out things a little bit better. Okay, we already came here, but I might not have seen it over here. Nope, that's a backpack. Which I guess will work. There it is. It's behind the boxes. Now, one thing that also makes this game kind of old is it has the models spinning. Because, you know, back in 1997, 3D models, oh my god! And so people wanted to see it. And to actually get this game to run was not cheap either. I think I primarily played this in software mode. Yeah, the Tusken Raider AI is kind of glitching out a little bit. It wasn't doing that when I first played it, but whatever. The fact that this still runs at all is impressive. Locked? Once again, what if that was the bathroom? Why would you have a lock on your own bathroom? Yeah, going back to Star Wars, though, of which we're still playing it, we had to have a yellow wrench as opposed to any other kind of wrench. It's like, if you had a red wrench, it just wouldn't work. And yes, we do find like a red and blue wrench. Once again, I gotta tell you, this is a giant mansion that Kyle grew up in. Like, Kyle was fucking rich. But then again, Luke kind of was too. See, that actually gets onto a topic about, like, technologically advanced civilizations. Their version of poor would be very different from our version. Realistically, even today, like, if you're poor in the United States, you're not that poor. Just due to the sheer abundance of, plenty. Which is something that, certain Sajubs don't really appreciate. But, like, Luke, he was 19 years old, he had his own car, his land speeder, and he had his own plane that could go suborbital. I don't think they got the numbers on that right, because I had to look that up. If you look at the Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels, the T-16 Skyhopper, pretty much goes past the Kármán line. I said that to sound smart. Okay, so this is where it can get kind of confusing. Also, no! The only time I ever needed to use no on there. Okay, so Kyle lived in a house with its own hydroelectric dam. Okay, before we jump in there, I'll check the chat real quick. X-Files game. Under a Killing Mood. God. I know what that game is. I think I'd be bored in the first 5 minutes. Nightmares about Area 51? That thing was super bloody cheesy. But, you know, when you're young, things can seem scarier than they really are. Okay, so there's actually a little, like, control area that you can get to. Now, why is this here? I ask you, like, when would you ever need to use this? Why would you ever want to use this? Like, you can almost drown. I guess because they blew that up, but still, though, what is that for? And of course, we need to have 2 wrenches to fix the hydroelectric dam. That's one thing about, like, futurism that I would like to see, is like self-sufficient houses where you do have your own hydroelectric dam or your own fusion generator. So, like, the power can't ever go out. And, like, if you could have, like, farming robots. Also, I'm not sure what this area is supposed to be. If he has his own hydroelectric dam, this will also be kind of a dangerous planet to live on, because now we've got, like, flying space bugs. But what is that? Is that, like, his power plant kind of thing? I'm just saying, like, my God, Morgan Kintarn had a huge house. Kyle, you're rich. I'm just saying. Or is it like the... And remember, this is on a frontier planet, which thankfully isn't Tatooine. Come on, get out of there! That isn't Tatooine, thankfully. That's another problem with the Mandalorian. They go back to there all the time. It's like, you can have other planets, and they can all look like Canada. Well, you probably don't want to go to Canada. So the best tactic is to, not die. Or do that. I still think, whoever designed this house was crazy. Just saying, like, this is not good for your health, Kyle. You're probably gonna get cancer. Never mind. It's like, why is there not, like, little bridges across there? Oh, crap. Why did you not wipe out all of these space bugs? Although I guess it'd be good target practice. Now, the, Briar pistol here, which we're not going to really be using, because it's not that bad, but it's not that useful. It's actually a cut-down blaster rifle. And you had your own battle droid. Well, it's not really a battle droid, but you have your own droid too?
message is intended for my son, Kyle Katarn. Kyle, I have left two very important items for you. The first is a map to the Valley of the Jedi, and is embedded in the stone ceiling above this room. The last is a lightsaber that once belonged to a friend and great Jedi, Ron. Use it well. Use it for good.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the entire game, because this is where you have the transition from Kyle just being a regular dude into being a Jedi. Now, arguably that's one of the things that makes Dash Rendar look really good. He's not really a secret Jedi. And yes, we finally got the lightsaber. Now, Ouija is an interesting design. I mean, that does look kind of crap, I'm not going to lie. But there's only so much they can do with it. But I love the fact that we do have a droid in this game. And it's distinct from R2-D2 and C-3PO and all the rest. It's something completely unique to the game, while still being part of the greater Star Wars universe. And so yeah, we got a lightsaber. This is like the coolest shit ever back in '97. It's still cool today. I mean, first-person lightsabering. Now, of course, I have the FOV pulled back quite a bit. But, it still looks awesome. Now, of course, we can go into third-person view. This is not nearly as good as Jedi Knight 2 or Jedi Academy, but, you know, they had to start somewhere. And this worked remarkably well. Now, when it comes to actually playing the game, you don't really want to use the lightsaber, though. Just shooting bastards in the face with a plasma rifle is kind of how you want to do it. And I do like how Kyle cannot perfectly block a blaster shot. He actually will miss it on a few occasions. Okay, let's get back to shooting bastards in the face. Okay, now this should... There it is. That should open, and it does. It's like the E11 blaster rifle. Yeah, it's not inaccurate. You can actually hit pretty well with this bloody thing. Now, if only Lucasfilm would give stormtroopers a chance. But yeah, pretty much the entire game is extremely impressive. I mean, look at that. That just looks fucking awesome. And yeah, the splashes in the water are going to be 2D sprites, but whatever. Yeah, probably got to get the lightsaber out. Actually, I'm not sure if we're supposed to go this way or not. No, we're not. Come on, Kyle, you can do it. Just swim for your life. When we finally get force speed, this will make things a lot easier. Actually, maybe we are supposed to go this way. I'm not entirely sure. It seems like we are. No, we're not. Okay. Which means we have to basically slowly but surely sprint our way up there. Come on, go, go. Because we actually have to oh yeah, we got to swim all the way up there. Up that pipe. Well, we're just gonna be a swimming. Kyle, you don't think you could swim any faster? Couldn't, like, use the Force? The Force powers in this game are not quite as good as what they'd be in later games. I hate to admit this, but using the Force in the Xbox version of Jedi Knight 2 and Academy is actually quite a bit better than in the PC version. And since I'm using a controller, they control quite a bit better than if you had to use the keyboard. Just saying. I hate to say that, because I used to be a big keyboard and mouse man, but I can definitely see the utility of a controller. So you can easily get turned around here. I think you can't go this way. Nope, you gotta crouch. And that's it. Let's save. Save. I don't want to go all the way back. Don't make me go back. It's definitely one of those games where there's certain areas where you kind of want to be in VR. I need to give VR another try, but I still hate having that bloody thing on my head. Oh, we gotta get the lightsaber out! Come on, come on, come on. Now, if you don't... grab the shield. If you don't get out of the water, you'll actually fall to your death. Okay, let's save. I'll check the chat real quick. Xeon Zaku. Yes. Yes, they are. Technically, Silver Wings, this is not a sewer level. It's an irrigation channel level. Oh, I didn't know there was a cut level after Morgan Katarn's house. The speeder bike thing is in the novel. I didn't know it was an actual level at all. Have any laser weaponry? Let's see. First, the Virtual Boy. You know, I actually did use the Virtual Boy once back when it came out and thought it was crap. Yeah, I'm actually working on a science fiction universe of my own, but it is going to have laser weaponry. It's going to have fun stuff. Stuff that's not 100% serious. Okay, I think we go up here. Okay, see, I like 40K because it's highly stylized with the chainsaw swords and the like. Oh god, that's just... That did not work. With chainsaw swords and the like. But I want something a bit more positive than 40K, and yes, you gotta go up there. Come on, you can do it, Kyle! Go! Go! If I had 4 speed, this wouldn't be hard. There we go. But see, this isn't a sewer. This is perfectly clean water. With dead bodies in it. Hope they got good, water purification. I'd make a joke about Flint, Michigan, but I don't think that really, applies anymore, seeing as how, that was like 10 years ago. Although I wonder, did they ever fix that water? Imagine it's about as bad as that one town's water that got polluted by the FDA. I mean, never mind. It was the EPA, actually. I mean, it's fine. I would totally drink the water. That's one of those things where, for those who don't know, there was a train that derailed a few months back at some small no-name town, and they asked, and of course the feds said that it was perfectly safe to drink the water, and a fed was asked, would you drink the water? And you can look at his face that the answer is not only no, but fuck no, but he is like, yes, I would be perfectly happy to drink it. As you would imagine, he did not drink the water. He may have drunk the Kool-Aid, but he did not drink the water. See, the only way I'd play VR is if I didn't have to have a thing on my head. Because that just really takes a lot of the fun out of it. And this is one of those great aspects of this game. I mean, like, just look at this level. Like, it's not exactly obvious where you're supposed to even go. It's also one of the few games that actually does platforming somewhat right. The controls are just good enough that this works. Just good enough. Because if they were floaty, like a certain Half-Life, it would not be nearly as fun as it is. Alright, and... we're about to fight some Stormies, and these Stormies actually went to boot camp because they actually know how to hit things. Now, originally, Stormtroopers were supposed to be badass, to the point where they were kind of like Space Marines. There was a lot of attrition in training. They went to one planet called Caridia, where they were supposed to be like, went through what is effectively Space Marine training. Sadly, that just ended up being forgotten. This is very much video game logic. Like, the only Oh yeah, I think we gotta fight some giant squids in here. Or is it just giant squid, It's very easy to drown right here. Cause like, you have to go underwater for a while. But the Stormies never really got their due. It's kinda like the clone troopers. And that idiotic, inhibitor chip. Okay, there's a little thing down here that lets you go through. Now, where is that? There's a little door you gotta go through. There it is. Come on, Kyle, you can hold your breath, right? Now, if you know nothing about Kyle Katarn, he was originally a stormtrooper, but did not want to engage in, civilian removal, let's say. And so just kind of like pretended that he was going to shoot a civilian, and he let a rebel go. And what rebel was it? Why, it was Jan Ors. And then eventually he defected. Well, he didn't really defect, but he just left the, there it is. Just left Imperial service. Come on, go, 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 go! But would primarily work for the Rebel Alliance / New Republic. Now, sadly, we never really saw Kyle Katarn get married to Jan Ors. In one of the comics set during the Yuuzhan Vong War, he tried to get her to marry him, but to no avail. I guess that means he gets to keep half his money, right? Or all his money, I should say. Although, thankfully, marriage in Star Wars is a little less, attritional than it is in real life. Okay, let's just go, 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 go! This more force speed would really help. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Watch out for the giant squid! Ah! It's the hentai monster! Oh, I'm so gonna start getting hurt. Oh, I went the wrong way! Yep. Kyle is about to drown. Yep. Yeah, you have to go the exact right way. It actually is pretty clever how they have the, squid right there as you get out. There's like one of the major oh fuck moments. Okay, come on. Okay, shoot the squid! Oh, crap, 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 crap. There it is. Just drink some Bacta. That'll heal the lungs, right? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, we successfully didn't die. Check the chat real quick. Oh, they still... I'm not surprised they don't report on Flint anymore. It needs to be a major threat, but unfortunately, it's gonna get... Trying to make a Dieselpunk universe or a tabletop game. I think there is a tabletop game that's kind of like that. Let's see here. That's what they want you to think. Gross HD packs. Because the HD pack looks great. What's wrong with the HD pack? It looks beautiful. I put in my time, damn it. I like the textures to be more than like 1 pixel. But yeah, it's quite fascinating what the news media reports on and doesn't report on. It's also kind of hilarious that, like, if you actually pay attention to the news media, they all, no matter if they're woke or not, all pretty much just stick to one story. It's like, that's their marching orders for the day. The water looks pretty damn good. I mean, there's only so much they can do to clean up that texture, but it doesn't look nearly as shitty as it used to. It's like, this game just, it cleaned up well. I think we'll call it a day when we reach Baron's Head. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And see, like, one of the major reasons why PC gaming was such a big deal back in the late 90s / early 2000s, that is big enough to look like a legitimate dam. If this was like a simple console game, it couldn't be quite that large. Oh my. Do we have any Bacta? Of course not. Why would I have Bacta? Now, I'm not entirely sure why Kyle here needs to go through all of this just to get to Baron's head. I mean, he could have just... this is not exactly the quietest sort of thing. And this is definitely one of those video game sorts of things. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Are you gonna tell me that this hydroelectric dam is just gonna let these, you know, squid monsters live here? It doesn't seem exactly realistic. Although you never know. I mean, like, Hoover Dam might have squid monsters living in it for all we know. They might be from Portland. That'll go to setup. There we go. Let's go ahead and save because there's a secret we can get to. But I'm like super hurt right now, so I might not survive long enough to get to it. Alright, so there should be some health and ammo down here, but like, I've got 26 health, and come on, go, 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 go! Oh yeah, more grenades, that's what I need. But that 200 shield is totally worth it. Now, like, Kyle's shield doesn't really appear in the expanded universe. There is energy shielding in it, but it's very rare. Like, The Courtship of Princess Leia. Oh god, that book. It's like, the second I mention The Courtship of Princess Leia, you're either going to have one or two reactions. People either love that book because they're not woke, or they're going to hate that book because they're woke. Because it does have Han Solo kidnapping Princess Leia to get her to marry him, which was a weird thing. And by kidnap, I mean, like, he literally uses a mind control gun on her. I'm not really sure why Dave Wolverton thought that was a good idea. I mean, that's only a little creepy, and I don't think Han Solo would need to do that. But in that book, Han Solo's rival for Princess Leia's affections is a prince who looks like the guy who sold the I can't believe it's not butter. And he has an energy shield that works mostly. But see, like, Courtship of Princess Leia is just one of those weird books that just has some weirdness in it. You kind of just gotta let it go. But today it's like, it's sexist and blah 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 blah. You know, toxically masculine. It's always funny to read that. It's still one of my favorite Star Wars books, despite its weirdness. It's like, if you ignore that, some major shit happens. Most notably, that's the book where a major Imperial character gets killed off, finally. Got hit in the face by a door. Now, we were almost to, Sulon here. Oh, actually, we're on Sulon. We're almost to Baron's Head. And Baron's Head is, it definitely looks a bit old. Because they couldn't really do cities yet, but they came close. And so it's like one giant building with, like, some textures of some cities around. And Jan's gonna say something really weird soon. Weird and just, I'm not sure why they wrote it like that. Okay, so here's our force powers. So, you've got these core force powers of jump, speed, sight, and pull. Later on we will unlock light side powers, which is green for some reason, and dark side force powers, which is red because it's evil. So this game had sort of a primitive moral choice system, where if you get too many dark side powers, Kyle just automatically becomes an evil bastard. Even though, okay, if I pull somebody off a ledge to their death, if I throw them off, how is that evil? So anyway, we're going to get 1 point in speed, and we're going to save that other point for jump later. I like how Kyle almost misses the giant building.
Baron's Head. The Empire sure knows how to ruin a perfectly good city.
My guess is your Pal 88 is in that large house. The Imperials are guarding it like a fortress.
Well, I think a visit's in order. Don't you?
Jan, why would you call that a large house? It's a giant tower! What houses do you live in? I'm just saying, that's one of the weirdest lines in the game. That had to be in reference to something else, because, like, that does not fit. It's a giant Doom fortress. It's just, really? House? Let's see. News media. Yes, Kyle likes to shoot. Funky Pertwee, I've got a review of Mass Effect 2 underway. It's going to be done at some point in July. So that's going to end up being released soon enough. And yeah, the Star Wars music was great. I mean, Jerry Goldsmith was amazing. Your comment should be there, Funky Pertwee. At least I thought it was. Let's see, how long have I been going here? Hour 17. Yeah, I'll cut it here since this next level is pretty long. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am GeneralLotz. Next week, I'm going to probably try to play something co-op, assuming all the schedules align. If not, we're going to come back to Jedi Knight Remastered. The week after next, we'll definitely be coming back to this game. So, until then, I'm GeneralLotz, wishing you good. Aliens Fireteam Elite, whatever makes you happy. All right.